Listen and understand that Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse.
Hello, this is Leo Lucian Bay and welcome to my work in progress video for my entry in the 2021 Iclone Lip Sync contest. I'd like to point out that this isn't a tutorial, just me talking over some of the techniques and tools that I used to get the result that you've just seen. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments and I'll do my best to reply. Right here you can see a little bit of the character creation process, which was done in DAZ Studio and then moved into CC3 with the transformer tool. Over in Iclone, I have a very simple version of the scene already created. There's just a backplane that represents the parkade and a car model that the characters are going to sit in. And here is just a simple matter of replacing the stand-in characters that I had put in with the CC3 character and making some adjustments to the scene and then lighting it. The lighting is really important to get the best out of the character models that you have. A lot of people make some really good looking character models in Character Creator 3 and then bring them over to Iclone and wonder why they don't look good. The answer is 8 times out of 10 that the lighting hasn't been done properly. With everything in the scene set up, we can move on to importing the audio through Aculips, which is a much more accurate way of creating lip sync for your characters than in the previous versions of Iclone. What you're seeing me do here is adjusting the presets for the intensity of the phonemes using the talking style editor. Then you want to set the overall lip options, which again kind of reinforce whether your dialogue is kind of big or small, like when it's whispered. And then you should adjust the smoothing because that kind of dictates how the phonemes are going to move from one to the other. So once that's looking good, it's just down to the refining process. You go in, you take away the keys that you don't need because the automatic processes in pretty much any program tend to put too many phonemes, and that can make the mouth movements a little bit kind of staggered from one phoneme to the next. So you take out what you don't need and you go in and refine what's left. You punch up some of the stuff that's a little bit too low and reduce some of the stuff that's a little bit too big. So you do that over a few times and by the time you finish you should have a pretty good result. The Aculips result is pretty good because back in the day with the old lip sync I used to do all of this by hand. I used to put every phoneme in by hand. I just used to delete everything and start placing the new lip sync in like one mouth movement at a time. With this I don't need to do that anymore, so I just go in and refine what's already there and it's much quicker.
Listen and understand that Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse.
But of course it doesn't really matter how good the lip sync is if the body movements don't really match that. So I put the mocap suit on, I played the scene a couple hundred times and I got some movements down. Now it's time to attach her wrist to Kyle Reese's hand. This isn't a particularly interesting process, but I attached a dummy to Kyle's hand and attached her wrist to the dummy, connected them so now wherever Kyle Reese moves his hand, her wrist moves along with it. But Kyle's overall animation doesn't look quite right, so I sampled the head keyframes and just went in and refined those a little bit. And finally, I replaced the main character with his final version, where I used Iclone's beard and brow builder to make the beard. At this point, everything's looking kinda good, so I wanted to get the color grading in to make sure that I could get a fairly good idea of what the lighting was gonna look like in the end. Color grading in Iclone is done using LUTs, also known as lookup tables, and those can be edited using a whole variety of tools. Anything that can edit an image, so Photoshop works, but I like to use Camera Bag Pro. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching that work in progress video. There's still a little bit left to go. The emotions aren't in yet. We've got the lip movements, we've got body animation, but we still need to do a lot with the face. The eyes need to be looking somewhere, and there's just generally a few fixes that need to be made. Anyway, thanks a lot, and remember, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them.